You have watched countless historical films where grand battles and romanticized struggles take the center stage. Yet, in every single one of those sweeping epics, the camera deliberately cuts away just before the absolute worst of it begins to unfold. It hides an agonizing silent tragedy that always happened far away from any bloody battlefield, leaving only a comfortably sanitized illusion in its place. The undeniably gruesome reality of what it truly costs to bring life into this world is something most of us are not prepared to sit with. We are often taught a deeply comforting yet fundamentally flawed lie about our origins. We are conditioned to believe that natural selection constantly works toward a flawless physiological design, patiently polishing our biology until it inevitably reaches the absolute pinnacle of functional efficiency. You have undoubtedly seen that famous, iconic illustration showing our ancient ancestors slowly rising from all fours, triumphantly marching forward into the future as the ultimate masters of the earth. Standing perfectly upright freed our hands to build complex civilizations, to forge deadly weapons, and to completely dominate the surrounding natural world. It is universally celebrated as the defining triumph of human evolution, the brilliant, undisputed foundation of our undeniable supremacy over every other living species on this planet. But the fossil record tells a starkly different, significantly darker story about what that glorious evolutionary triumph actually cost. When researchers carefully examined the skeletal remains of Australopithecus, a chilling, inescapable reality began to emerge from beneath the thick layers of ancient dust left behind by our predecessors. Dedicated studies prominently featured in the Journal of Human Evolution detailed exactly how the monumental biological shift toward bipedalism fundamentally warped our skeletal architecture forever. To safely support the immense crushing weight of a vertical torso walking exclusively on two legs, the female body had to endure a profoundly brutal structural compromise. The pelvic bones were completely dismantled and mercilessly rearranged. The birth canal was violently reshaped, permanently contorted, and dramatically compressed into a vastly smaller passage. It was a trap. Nature did not optimize the female body for enduring survival. While humanity was boldly conquering the vast untamed plains, the internal architecture of women was being mercilessly squeezed into a lethal bottleneck. The very pelvic structure that proudly allowed our species to stride across endless continents abruptly turned the most natural biological process into an excruciating, deadly ordeal. The women bore the severe physical brunt of our celebrated evolutionary leap. Millions of years of supposed progress did not ultimately result in a harmonious, perfectly balanced physical design. Instead, it systematically engineered a recurring biological nightmare, permanently twisting the human pelvis into a terrifying mechanical prison that offered absolutely no physical escape for those carrying new life. A narrow pelvis is a tragedy, but that is only half of the death sentence. The next piece of scientific data has suddenly revealed a much more brutally unforgiving and horrifyingly cruel reality. Written into your DNA is a silent, enduring record of a terrifying evolutionary collision that completely dismantled the ancient natural order of mammalian birth. If you carefully observe any other primate species living in the wild, the essential process of bringing forth new life is relatively straightforward. The anatomical dimensions align seamlessly, allowing the mother to labor safely and recover swiftly. The biological mechanics are fundamentally balanced and efficient. But for the human species, that crucial physical equilibrium was systematically eliminated. While our ancestors were sacrificing their pelvic capacity to stand tall, another radical mutation was silently taking root in our biology. The fragile human brain began to expand at an entirely unprecedented, terrifyingly exponential rate. The skull grew. This created what evolutionary biology terms the obstetrical dilemma, a terrifying mechanical paradox where two magnificent adaptations violently clashed against one another. Encephalization demanded a massive, heavily fortified fetal skull to safely house our advanced cognitive abilities. Bipedalism, meanwhile, demanded a rigidly compressed, profoundly narrowed pelvic canal to support our upright posture. Nature forcefully attempted to push an impossibly large sphere through a dangerously restricted biological passage. It was a complete biological nightmare. Our immense intelligence was not a free gift gently bestowed upon humanity by a benevolent universe. It was a profoundly expensive evolutionary transaction, and the agonizing currency demanded was maternal survival. The highly advanced cerebral cortex that allowed us to compose grand symphonies, to meticulously map the distant stars, and to ultimately dominate the entire natural world was born directly through an excruciating gauntlet of shattered bones and fatal hemorrhages. These women paid in blood. Every single cognitive leap forward in ancient human history inherently required a catastrophic physical toll that absolutely no other primate species has ever been forced to endure. The blind, indifferent evolutionary process did not miraculously solve this fatal physiological contradiction. It simply allowed just enough traumatized women to survive the horrific ordeal so that the species could blindly stagger forward into the next generation. It is a deeply unsettling, haunting reality to fully comprehend. The very intellect that proudly defines our shared humanity was systematically forged inside a dark, inescapable crucible of unimaginable maternal agony. The cold, heavily documented mechanical reality of this brutal anatomical conflict eventually fades away, leaving behind nothing but a heavy, suffocating silence. We are left completely alone, quietly staring at the undeniable physical cost of our brilliant minds. History books are meticulously filled with the glorious accounts of men who picked up weapons to conquer foreign lands. We build towering monuments to honor the fallen soldiers who bravely sacrificed their lives on blood-soaked battlefields. But there is a profoundly different kind of survival that history simply does not know how to honor. The most devastating, consequential war for the ultimate survival of our species was never fought with spears or swords. It was relentlessly fought in the absolute suffocating darkness of ancient caves by completely forgotten people who never picked up a single weapon. Our collective supremacy over the natural world was never actually secured by brilliant military strategy or advanced technological invention. It was brutally purchased through an agonizing biological compromise that mercilessly trapped the female body between the inescapable mechanical demands of walking upright and the massive explosive expansion of the human mind. Every single architect, philosopher, and conqueror in human history was safely carried across that terrifying, razor-thin threshold of ancient survival by a woman who had to constantly endure the ultimate physical paradox. They faced a lethal evolutionary gauntlet, armed with absolutely nothing but their own fragile bodies. Millions quietly perished in this vast, unrecorded struggle, entirely swallowed whole by the cold, unforgiving mechanics of our own relentless evolutionary progress. Yet, against all seemingly insurmountable biological odds, the maternal lines persisted. They quietly absorbed the crushing, unbearable physical cost of human intelligence, generation after grueling generation, leaving absolutely no triumphant statues or glorious written records in their wake. Their agonizing sacrifice was systematically erased from our modern cultural memory, neatly replaced by comfortably celebrated myths of human exceptionalism and divine destiny. But the undeniable truth of their invisible, terrifying battle remains permanently etched into the fundamental architecture of our bones. They birthed the entire future. We just completely forgot about them.